Welcome back. Jennifer Manili here with another Reddit story / question, or people asking for advice. In this story today, it is the question is 30 young enough to turn life around after a brutal meth addiction? My 37-year-old sister says it's too late in life for me, 30 male. I'm going to school for dental hygiene next year. Please give me some hope. I'm 16 months clean. Can I still get a beautiful and caring woman and a nice house in 5 to 7 years? The short answer is abso-positively. It is never too late. I have seen so many people of various ages, various different types of drugs, including meth, turn their lives around and get all of the things that they could ever hope for, things that they could have never have imagined for themselves. And so absolutely, I mean, it sounds like you're doing all of the right things. You're 16 months clean, which is, yes, it's still, kind of early on, and yet you're doing all of the right things in terms of you have to be doing something right to get that long, especially from meth. I mean, meth is brutal. It just is. And going back to school and turning your life around. It kind of saddens me sometimes when I hear family members say something like this to other family members. That can be fairly discouraging. Like, kind of what are we cultivating here when we go out of our way to say something like this to someone else? And I think that there is really no good reason for someone to say like this, but at the same time, at the sister's defense, right? I kind of understand it as well, because I think this goes into self-protection mode. She doesn't want to get too comfortable or feel too safe, because she's probably still concerned, because if it was a brutal meth addiction, I'm sure she had to face the idea that maybe she was going to lose her brother. And as well as there was probably a lot of betrayal, a lot of lying, a lot of those things that sometimes people experience as family members that are not so great. And so I think that the sister saying this is coming from very much a protection mode, and it's sad. I can see both sides of it too, where it's like, that's probably not very helpful. So when, like, I work with families and stuff, this is one of the things that we really, really work a lot on, is like language and what are we cultivating. And I think that's really important. And as well as it goes for the person with the substance abuse issue as well, when they're thinking about things, it's like, what are we cultivating in our life? Like, we can cultivate a lot of really positive things like this person seems to be doing. One of my cautionary tales, though, what I will say is, and this is something that I tell people that, like, I mentor in recovery as well, be careful of putting things into a timeline of expectations, because life doesn't always go according to what we think. Oh yeah, 5 to 7 years, I'm probably going to get these things. Well, oftentimes it doesn't happen the way that we think it is. Sometimes it does. Like, absolutely, is it possible to find a woman in a house and all of that stuff in 5 to 7 years? Yes, that's our goal. But sometimes life throws us curveballs and it doesn't show up in exactly the way that we think that it will. Like, I think about what my life, like when I was newer in recovery, even around like 16 months, year, whatever, my life at 16 years clean looks nothing like I thought that it would. And yet my life is so great. I could not have envisioned my life being what it is today. And it's so wonderful. And I wouldn't change anything, but it's not what I thought that it would look like. The same with my age, right? Like, I'm 41, and my life at 41 doesn't look like the way that I had envisioned it, right? And sometimes I can go down that road of like beating myself up and feeling bad about that, even though there's nothing to really feel bad about. Like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be because that's how the world works. I'm exactly who I am meant to be. And I work really hard on my life, but it's not what I would have expected it to be. And so I have to be really mindful of those expectations, because when I'm having a little bit of a rough day and I'm thinking about life and stuff, those expectations that I had set many, many, many years ago kind of creep in, and I start beating myself up going, this is not what I thought my life was supposed to look like. But we never know what the future holds for us either. And so that's the one cautionary tale that I would say about this post is be cautious of the expectations that we're putting on ourselves around a specific timeline, because life doesn't often work out the way that we think. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't put us exactly where we're meant to be at exactly the times that we're meant to do it. And we are exactly the people that we are meant to be at that moment. And sometimes that's just a hard thing. So those are my thoughts, is, watching so many people being able to get off of meth at much older than 30, and also just being mindful of that sometimes our family members go into self-protect mode, and this is why they say things like that. And just being compassionate and understanding and going, well, I kind of probably earned a little bit of that, like doubt from family members. And then just being willing to continue to show up and say, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm still going to work really hard because this is about me. This isn't about you. Like, I want this for me. And so that's it. So don't forget, for the people that are watching, please hit the subscribe button. I do these fairly often. I don't have like a regular timeline, but I love to sit down and do these. I think it's good for family members to hear. I think it's good for other people in recovery to hear, and just the general public to kind of get a good understanding of all the inner workings of what it means to have a substance abuse issue, and what it means to love someone that has a substance abuse issue. So I hope you subscribe. You can also I dive a little bit deeper in my podcast. You can go check out my podcast at the Unbreakable Boundaries podcast. That you can find that anywhere that you listen to podcasts. So I hope you have a great day, and don't forget that there is always hope, even when things seem the most hopeless.